Akathisia is one of the most important extrapyramidal side effects encountered in clinical psychiatry. It's frequently tested in university examinations and is equally important in day to day clinical practice because it is often missed or mistaken for worsening psychiatric illness. Understanding its different types, recognizing its clinical features, and managing it appropriately can significantly improve patient outcomes. The term akathisia comes from the Greek word meaning no sitting. It is an extrapyramidal movement disorder characterized by both subjective and objective components. The subjective component is an intensely distressing feeling of inner restlessness with a compelling urge to move. Patients often describe that they simply cannot sit still. The objective component consists of repetitive, coordinated movements such as pacing, rocking from foot to foot, shifting weight while standing, or repeatedly crossing and uncrossing the legs. Akathisia can be classified into five clinical types based on the time of onset, duration, and clinical presentation. The first type is acute akathisia. This is the most common form and develops rapidly, usually within hours to a few weeks after starting an antipsychotic or increasing its dose. Symptoms typically improve within days to weeks after reducing the dose or discontinuing the offending medication. High potency first generation antipsychotics, such as haloperidol, are the most common cause, although second generation antipsychotics, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and even calcium channel blockers have also been implicated. The second type is chronic akathisia. In this form, symptoms persist for several months or longer despite continued treatment. It is generally associated with prolonged exposure to the offending medication and represents persistent akathisia rather than a new onset of symptoms. The third type is tardive akathisia. This develops much later, usually after months to years of antipsychotic exposure. Unlike acute akathisia, symptoms may continue for months or even years after stopping the medication. Interestingly, they may worsen when the antipsychotic dose is reduced or withdrawn. Tardive akathisia is most commonly associated with long-term use of first-generation antipsychotics, although it may also occur with second-generation agents. The fourth type is withdrawal akathisia. This occurs after abrupt discontinuation or rapid tapering of psychotropic medications. Although classically described after stopping antipsychotics, it is also seen following withdrawal of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, tricyclic antidepressants, benzodiazepines, and gabapentinoids. Patients often experience severe and distressing restlessness during the withdrawal period. The fifth type is pseudoakathisia. These patients demonstrate the objective motor features of akathisia, such as pacing or fidgeting, but they deny any subjective feeling of inner restlessness. Pseudoakathisia may be confused with true akathisia and can also be seen in psychotic agitation or anxiety disorders. There are several important clinical pitfalls. One of the most common diagnostic errors is mistaking akathisia for worsening psychotic agitation or increasing anxiety. If the clinician incorrectly assumes that the patient is becoming more psychotic and responds by increasing the antipsychotic dose, the akathisia usually becomes even worse. Therefore, careful assessment of subjective inner restlessness is essential. Another important point is that akathisia is not merely uncomfortable. The severe dysphoria, emotional distress, and sense of inner torment associated with akathisia have been linked to an increased risk of suicidal ideation, aggression, and poor treatment adherence. Prompt recognition and treatment are therefore critical. Management should follow a stepwise approach. The first step is to reduce the dose of the offending antipsychotic whenever clinically feasible or switch to an agent with a lower propensity to cause akathisia. Common alternatives include quetiapine, clozapine, and olanzapine. If symptoms persist, first-line pharmacological treatment consists of beta blockers, with propranolol being the drug of choice. Typical doses range from 30 to 80 milligrams per day, adjusted according to the patient's clinical response and tolerability. If beta blockers are contraindicated or ineffective, second-line options include benzodiazepines such as clonazepam, anticholinergic medications such as trihexyphenidyl, and low-dose mirtazapine, usually at 15 milligrams per day. For examination purposes, remember a few high-yield facts. Acute akathisia develops within hours to weeks. Chronic akathisia persists for months or longer. Tardive akathisia appears after months to years of treatment and often worsens after dose reduction. Withdrawal akathisia follows discontinuation or tapering of medications such as SSRIs, TCAS, benzodiazepines, or gabapentinoids. Pseudoakathisia presents with movement but without the subjective sensation of inner restlessness. In summary, akathisia is a highly distressing movement disorder that exists on a spectrum ranging from acute and chronic forms to tardive, withdrawal, and pseudoakathisia. Correctly identifying the subtype, avoiding the common mistake of increasing the antipsychotic dose, and initiating appropriate treatment can prevent significant morbidity and improve patient safety.